Hello, this is what remains of a set of computer speakers made by Harman Kardon some time ago. I'm embarrassed to say that I took it apart and sadly I found the fault when it was too late. The problem was that the side speakers were not given any volume, and what sound was coming out of them was extremely distorted. As this was the case, and it was common to both of them, I decided that the fault was on the, where is it? One of these boards. And I had struggled to take it apart to get these bits out, but in defence, it was a hot summer's evening, about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't sleep, so with nothing better to do, I smashed this thing to bits. Now, let's see if we can repair them. I will take you through the original fault, and then we will try to effect a repair on that, and afterwards we'll try and put it back together again. These belong to a mate of mine, and he got fed up with them and just went out and bought another lot. So really, it is really a box of junk. Here's one of the speakers. I've coupled it up to a tone generator. Let's switch it on. I shall change the tone now, and you should hear that what the problem is. We're down at 100 Hertz, well 200 Hertz, 100 Hertz. You might even notice the speaker comes doing its nut. Just to make my embarrassment complete, here is the one of the speakers I took apart. And I lost one of the screws, and I hunted all over the place for it, all over the carpet, because I took it apart in the front room while watching telly at 2 o'clock in the morning. And sometime later, months later, I found it stuck to the speaker cone. Now, interestingly, the problem is that there is no cone around the speaker, just a metallic disc. The cone that should be around it is completely, well, the retaining cone that's around this disc is completely missing. Moving this to the side for the moment, we have a pack of new cones, speakers. As you can see, they've got this rubber around them. Well, it's deteriorated such an extent it doesn't exist anymore on these. And the next job is to replace them. There are 5 screws holding this together. 4 of them are behind the speaker screen. I found the best method I found was to go in at the bottom and gently hook it out like so. Here's our first 4 screws. Was it 5? Oh, 5 screws. So we have to undo these 5 screws. And there's a 6th one hiding underneath here. We'll come to that in a minute. To get out our last screw, it's hiding behind this little cover, and we need to remove this pad at the base to get access to the cable, because we need to relieve the cable at the same time away from the screw as it runs right across the top. We'd never get it undone otherwise. So a little gentle pressure, out she pops, and you can see, hopefully see in here where the cable runs. It's a bit fiddly trying to grab hold of this cable or prying it out, but I use a pair of whatever they're called. Out we come. And now you should be able to see the screw which is hiding in there. And from here, we just pull it apart. A lot of famous last words. There we go. Remember, put your screws well away from the speakers, otherwise it'll all stick to them. To remove the speakers, it's probably best to disconnect them first, and so that the wires are not in your way. To remove the speakers from the body, we need to ease them out at this point here and here while gently pulling, and we need some form of broad tool to get in, just to make life a little bit easier as we do it. Now, the end of this may be okay. I'm going to look around for something else, but I would prefer it to be sort of plastic or a piece of hardwood. Even a lolly stick might do, because of the chance of damaging things. Hopefully I can catch this on camera. I'm putting the end of this in here, twisting as like a screwdriver action, and trying to lift the speaker at the same time. I've just ease it up, I think, and we're out. That was fairly difficult for me. The main thing to remember is don't put your hand underneath, because the speaker is exposed and you could damage it. If you've got nimble fingers, you'll probably find it a lot easier than I did. I'm now going to have a go at doing the other speaker, and just to prove I can do it, there you go. With practice it looks easy. I didn't find it easy when I first did it. Like everything, when I went to purchase these, you can see it was a bit difficult to find out what was what. And on the back, I don't expect anybody can see it, because I couldn't at the time. On the back here, after removing this piece of stuff here, very faintly, very faintly, were some markings, and I'll cut to the chase and say that these are 8 ohm speakers. It's not just a simple case of taking one lot off and putting the other one on. I'm leaving that one connected. I'm going to disconnect this one, connect a new one, and then I'm going to lower the frequency right down to see if I can make sure that the cones are working together. I've swapped them round now and they're both in phase. It's like feeling somebody's pulse, but it's very weak. And well, we'll carry on and see what happens. I had trouble sourcing these speakers. The problem was that the original ones were 8 ohms and the only ones I could get at the time were 4 ohm speakers. I took the trouble to look on the internet today and found that there was plenty of 8 ohm speakers available. However, there was absolutely no markings on the back of these speakers, and I think it's a case of buyer beware. Originally, the only source for 8 ohm speakers I did find showed a picture with markings of 4 ohms on the back. Again, something I think was lost in translation. It's just one of those problems that we have to live with, as the components were sourced from China. Well, here we are, putting things back together, getting all the wires in place. I've got to desolder the mains lead and run it through the hole, fix it in position, then resolder it. We're on our way to putting it back together again. There's 1, 2, 3, one you can't see at present, 4, 5 and 6. 6 screws hold the PCB in place. These two that also the cover, obviously they're slightly longer. There's one at the back that isn't, so you've got four short ones and 2 long ones. It's a bit of a struggle to get it back in. I had to connect this first, which is the mains lead, but I've got to leave the bung out until last, basically speaking, to get all the other connectors in place. Well, I've got it together now. Speaker goes on next, I think. When I take something apart, I leave the screws in the piece so that I know where they are, don't lose them. Especially if I'm going to leave it for a few weeks or months or years or whatever. It's so frustrating just putting the screws over to one side and losing them. I managed to get the bung back in. It was very difficult, and because 2 reasons: it's a bit cold in here, and hence the rubber goes hard. Perhaps a little bit of washing up liquid or something to lubricate it, or silicone grease or something. Oh dear, I've just made one of those classic mistakes, thinking that the speaker just goes in and I plug it in, and then I've gone, where do I plug it in? It's on underneath the board. So I've got my work cut out now. I'm going to have to take it apart again, lift the board up, get this plugged in somehow. Oh, it must be cold in here, the wires are so rigid. Thought I'll just show you that. Don't make the same mistake. get at the screw here properly, as this is in the way, and logically speaking it's got to come off. So, so go off that. Oh God, this is bad. Where's the connector? Right, okay, I'll stop there, would you? Now, that was annoying. I've taken the speaker off, and because to give me more flexibility with getting everything in. There is on the speaker a plus and minus sign, so the red came off the plus, the minus came off the black. So now let's put it all back again. I'm really annoyed with myself. I'm just using the torch so I can see locate the hole easy. That's it. Get the two long screws out of the way and we possibly won't get them muddled again. Not that I got them muddled the first time. Right, okay. If you're new to this sort of thing, don't do all your screws up tight. Get them all in loose, and then in case there's any sort of locating difficulties, can jiggle it around. For a bit of a video. Okay, right, now we can do that. I just do them up so until they sort of bite. There's no real tension in them. It is plastic after all. And put this thing back in. Same mistake again as I made before. A little bit of a juggling exercise this. I can see why. Up a bit. That's easy. I didn't get that over that bit there, which is causing me some trouble. Well, caused the trouble there. Let's whip it over. More screws. In my struggle to get it apart, I'm looking for hidden screws and things. I scratched off the labels, and when I first took it apart, there's no need. We'll come to how many screws hold the base on, and that's a sort of take it apart later. Right, back to where we were. So a little bit more work to do before I put the speakers in. Need these little screws. It's all screws. The speakers are meant to be, well, My mate said that great speakers, German made, was insisting that they were a German firm. However, if you look at the labelling on these things closely, you'll see made in China. Well, this did, before I scratch the label off. And also one thing, it's well designed, not well designed, well designed is a wrong word to use, but it's a robustly designed piece of equipment and quite good quality construction wise. I've got no complaints about that. Alright, it could have been, I suppose, manufactured a little bit differently to make life easier. Alright, I'll carry on off camera now and do a little bit more off camera. It's been a bit awkward. Right, here's the next bit. This is the holds the speaker and the pre-amplifier board. Pre-amplifier board lives down inside here, and that's the next thing I've got to fix into place. I'll come back when I've done that. Well, the PCB is mounted now at the bottom. There's 6 screws holding that down. You might need a torch because it's a bit dark in there to work, and it's wise to have your ribbon cables connected because you'll never get to them again. I'm now going to try and marry the base and top together. It's a little bit awkward standing there and filming at the same time, so I'll just switch the camera off and move it away. Right. Well, the top is back on. I managed to get the connectors done up. Had to release the cab tie there to give me a bit more space. And now it's to connect the speakers. That's one of the last jobs to do, besides putting the top and knobs back on. Come through to the base. If you ever have to take one of these apart, there's 7 screws, 6 of them you can actually see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the other one is hiding behind this foot at the bottom. So once you've removed those, the two come apart, providing you've taken the speaker out first. Right, I'll carry on off camera because it's a bit awkward for me standing. Well, this is it. Big time to switch on and see what happens. The lights are on. I am expecting it to work. Right, I've got a tone generator over here, and without doing any more, let's plug her in. And switch her on. Probably deafen ourselves here. Well, that's about 30 Hz and I can hear it. And now I can't hear it, but I can actually see the cones going. I feel the cone vibrating at 20 Hz. can't feel anything. So I can hear that, which is 26 Hertz. I lose it round about there, right. Well, theoretically we're up to about 15. I can't hear anything. And well, they work. That's the end of that. Right. There's no point playing any music through it. People get upset about copyright. These speakers don't offer me any advantage over what I've already got. I compromised on the speakers that I fitted in the stands and on their impedance, which probably has an impact on the volume of the frequency. Yes, the volume and the frequency range. The speaker cones in these, as I said before, failed, and I noticed that the big speaker in this has a similar rubbery surround, but that doesn't show any signs of deterioration. So I suspect it will go on for quite some time. Equally well, it could be on the verge of disintegrating and breaking up for all I know. Have they got much life in them? Would anybody want them? Doubtful. Bit sort of too old school now. So I'll find a use for them, I think, somewhere. But where, I'm not too sure. So for the time being, they're all going back in the box. I can forget about them.